She looked at me like I was the answer to a question she'd been too afraid to ask. And in that moment, I wasn't sure if I was saving her or if she was saving me. The story opens in a quiet town wrapped in late afternoon light, that golden hour when the world seems to soften around the edges. The 22-year-old narrator, introspective and quietly restless, is sitting at a small-town library cafe, the kind of place that smells like coffee and old paper. He often comes here to write, to think, or maybe just to be alone. There's an emptiness in him he doesn't quite understand, the kind that feels like waiting for something unnamed. He's lost in thought, scribbling in a notebook when the bell above the door rings. That's when she enters. A 40-year-old woman with a graceful presence, confident but not loud. She carries herself with the quiet assurance of someone who has lived enough to know what truly matters. Her black hair falls past her shoulders in soft waves, framing a face touched by time in a most beautiful way. Faint smile lines that speak of laughter, soft brown eyes that seem to hold both warmth and mystery. She moves toward the counter, her voice low and steady as she orders her drink. There's nothing dramatic about it. No cinematic music, no slow motion. Yet something about her pulls at him like gravity he can't explain. When she turns to find a seat, her eyes meet his for the briefest moment. It's not flirtation, not curiosity, something deeper. A recognition, perhaps. The kind that makes your heart pause before it remembers to beat again. The narrator looks away, pretending to focus on his notebook, but the words blur. His mind hums with questions he can't quite articulate. Who is she? Why did that single glance feel like a memory, not a meeting? He tells himself not to stare, but his gaze drifts back again and again, to the way she stirs her coffee slowly, the way her fingers trace the rim of the cup absent-mindedly, the way she looks out the window like she's searching for something just beyond it. When their eyes meet again, this time it lingers, just long enough for something unspoken to pass between them, a silent acknowledgement, a spark that neither of them quite knows what to do with. She offers a small, polite smile, the kind that says, "I see you," without words, and he feels something shift quietly inside him. He doesn't approach her. He doesn't need to. Some connections begin in silence. Instead, he watches as she gathers her things, slips on a light coat, and leaves, her perfume a faint echo in the air. As the door closes behind her, he exhales slowly, realizing his hands are trembling. The world around him resumes its rhythm, but something in him doesn't. He doesn't know it yet, but that moment, that look, will follow him. Because for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel invisible. He felt seen, and that's how everything begins. The next few days feel strangely hollow. The world moves as usual. Lectures, texts from friends, noise and laughter. Yet nothing seems to register quite the same. Every time the narrator walks past the cafe, he slows down. He tells himself it's just habit, that he's only stopping for the coffee, but deep down he knows that isn't true. There's something about that woman, that look, that has carved its way quietly into him. He keeps replaying it in his mind, the soft steadiness of her eyes, the warmth that seemed to hold 1,000 untold stories. It wasn't desire exactly. It was something gentler, more unsettling. The feeling of having been momentarily known by someone you've never met. 2 days later, as the rain begins to fall in thin silver streaks across the street, he finds himself standing in front of the cafe again. The glass windows glow faintly against the gray sky, and through them, he can see the same corner table. For a moment, it's empty, and then he sees her. Same table, same quiet grace. Her sketchbook lies open in front of her, but she isn't drawing. She's looking out at the rain as if watching the world breathe. Her black hair catches the soft light, glinting slightly where the window frames her. The scene feels almost unreal, like walking into a memory he didn't expect to relive. He hesitates at the door, trying to steady himself. Part of him fears she won't recognize him, or worse, that she will and wish she hadn't. But when he finally walks in, her gaze lifts naturally, almost like she was expecting him. There's no surprise in her expression, just that same calm acknowledgement. A faint smile touches her lips. "It's still empty," she says, gesturing to the chair across from her. Her voice is warm, textured, the kind of tone that could make even the simplest words sound meaningful. He sits, trying to play it cool, but his pulse betrays him. They start to talk about nothing in particular. The weather, books, the way rain makes the city feel honest. Every topic drifts effortlessly into another. The conversation slow and unforced. She listens in a way few people do, her attention full, her reactions thoughtful. Every time he glances up, she's already looking at him, not with judgment, but with a quiet understanding that unnerves him in the best way. At some point, she laughs, not the polite kind, but a real laugh, deep and soft, like something inside her remembered joy. The sound fills the air between them, and suddenly the world feels lighter. The rain outside softens into mist. The cafe hum fades to a low murmur, and it's as if time has quietly slowed to make room for them. By the time he notices the clock, hours have passed. She smiles gently, tilting her head. "You've been here a while," she says. He smiles back. "Feels like minutes." She studies him for a moment, eyes soft but searching. And for the first time, he senses it. Beneath that calm exterior, there's a secret she's holding. Something fragile. Something waiting to be understood. And though neither of them says it aloud, they both feel it. That quiet pull towards something neither planned, but both needed. The next week unfolds like a quiet ritual neither of them planned, but both keep returning to. Every evening around sunset, the cafe glows with amber light, and he finds himself there, always pretending it's coincidence, always knowing it isn't. She's usually already seated at her usual spot, sketchbook open, a cup of tea sending up thin ribbons of steam. Their conversations stretch further each day. Less small talk now, more honesty. She tells him about her love for quiet places, how she finds comfort in drawing people who seem lost in thought. He talks about how he's still figuring things out, about his uncertainty and the way the world feels too fast sometimes. She listens the way she sketches, slowly, attentively, every word becoming part of a larger picture she seems to understand instinctively. Sometimes they fall into silence. Not the awkward kind, but a silence that feels like rest. The sound of spoons clinking, the hum of low jazz, the scent of coffee, it all blends into something safe, something real. And in that space between words, something begins to grow. He starts to notice the small things about her. The way she always brushes a strand of hair behind her ear when she's thinking, the way her fingers trace invisible lines on the table when she's unsure what to say, the way her laugh seems to hide a small ache at its edges. There's a quiet melancholy in her, like someone who's loved deeply and lost quietly. One evening, as the rain begins again, she closes her sketchbook and looks at him differently. Not with curiosity this time, but with something gentler, almost protective. "You remind me of someone," she says softly. He doesn't ask who. The way her eyes lower tells him it's someone she once loved, someone who left a mark too deep to fade. There's a pause, a shared breath, and in that silence he feels something shift. It's not pity he feels, but recognition. The kind that comes when two people sense the same emptiness in each other and quietly fill it without saying a word. A few drops of rain tap against the window, and without thinking, he reaches out, brushing his fingers lightly across her hand resting on the table. She doesn't move away. Instead, her thumb grazes his wrist in a small, steady motion, and something inside him steadies too. Neither of them speaks for a long time. The world outside blurs into soft gray, the cafe fading around them. When she finally looks up again, her eyes glisten, not with tears, but with quiet gratitude. "It's been a long time since someone really listened," she whispers. He wants to say, "Me too," but the words stay locked in his throat. Instead, he just nods, holding her gaze until the noise of the world fades completely. That night, when he finally walks home, her voice still echoes in his mind, gentle, patient, full of something he can't name yet. But whatever it is, it feels like the beginning of something neither of them expected, and neither of them wants to end. Days pass, yet every moment between them lingers like an unfinished sentence. Their meetings at the cafe have become a rhythm, familiar but never predictable. Each day feels slightly different, a new story, a new layer of something they both seem too careful to name. On one particularly golden afternoon, sunlight spills through the cafe windows in long, warm streaks. She's wearing a soft beige sweater, sleeves rolled neatly at the wrists, a faint trace of perfume like jasmine and something deeper, maybe nostalgia. He notices the way her eyes catch the light when she laughs, how her smile doesn't always reach them, though she tries. They talk about everything and nothing again. Her favorite films, his half-formed dreams, the strange loneliness that sometimes creeps in even when life seems full. Every time their eyes meet, the air between them feels charged, like the silence before rain. But beneath that warmth lies a growing tension neither wants to disturb. There are things unsaid, things that hover between them like delicate glass. He wants to ask about the sadness in her eyes, about the years that seem to weigh behind her calm. But something stops him. It isn't fear, it's respect. She, on the other hand, starts asking him about his future, not in the way of someone curious, but in the way of someone trying to understand where they fit in the picture. "You're young," she says one afternoon, stirring her tea absent-mindedly. "You still have the world waiting for you." He smiles faintly. "Maybe, but lately it feels like it's waiting in the wrong direction." Her gaze softens, a small, knowing smile curving at her lips. "Or maybe you're just looking for something real." He doesn't reply, but she knows he agrees. The conversation drifts into quieter waters after that. A child outside chases pigeons across the street, the city hums in the distance, and time itself feels like it slows just to listen. Then, as if caught by impulse, she reaches for his cup, her fingers brushing his. The touch is fleeting, barely a second, yet it sends a warmth spiraling through his chest that he can't ignore. He looks at her then, really looks, and sees her not as the mysterious woman from the cafe, but as someone alive with contradictions, confident but cautious, strong but fragile, composed yet restless beneath it all. The silence between them stretches, but this time it feels heavier, more intimate. Finally, she speaks. "You shouldn't get too attached to moments like this," she says softly. "They're beautiful because they don't last." He studies her face, the way her voice trembles just enough to betray the truth she's trying to hide. "Maybe," he says quietly, "but maybe that's exactly why they matter." For the first time, she doesn't look away. Her lips part as if to respond, but no words come. Instead, she smiles, slow, uncertain, but undeniably real. And in that moment, he realizes something. It's not the distance between their ages or lives that scares him. It's the distance between the words they're both too afraid to say. The next time they meet, the world feels softer, quieter somehow, like it's holding its breath for them. The cafe is less crowded that evening, a soft orange glow washing over the tables as the sun dips behind the skyline. Outside, the street hums with faint city noise, but inside, everything feels still, suspended in a kind of fragile calm neither wants to break. She sits by the window, her long black hair loosely tied, strands catching the light like silk threads. The faint creases around her eyes deepen when she smiles, not from age, but from a lifetime of feeling deeply, of loving, losing, and learning to carry both. He arrives late, a nervous energy pulsing under his calm exterior, unsure why his heart beats faster at the sight of her. "Thought you wouldn't come," she teases, her tone light, but her eyes saying something else, something that sounds like "I'm glad you did." He sits opposite her, and for a moment, words feel unnecessary. The air between them hums with quiet electricity. Every glance, every small movement feels amplified. The way she stirs her coffee, the sound of her bracelet shifting, the faint scent of her perfume blending with roasted beans and soft music. Their conversation drifts between jokes and silences, but it's the silences that say the most. Every pause feels like a heartbeat, shared, unspoken, deeply understood. When he tells her about his day, the uncertainty, the restlessness that comes with trying to find purpose, she listens like she's reading him line by line. Her hand rests on the table, close to his, and for the first time, he doesn't hold back. He reaches across, gently covering her hand with his. Her skin is warm, soft yet steady, and for a heartbeat, neither of them moves. She looks up, eyes wide at first, then softening. The moment stretches, time slowing to the rhythm of their breaths. It's not a bold gesture. It's quiet, careful, but it changes everything. Her thumb moves just slightly, a small, almost imperceptible movement, but it's enough. A silent acknowledgement that the connection between them isn't imagined. Her voice is steady when she finally speaks, though there's a faint tremor beneath it. "You shouldn't be this kind," she whispers. "It'll make me forget how to stay away." He smiles faintly, not as defiance, but as understanding. "Maybe you don't have to." She looks down, their hands still touching, her lashes casting soft shadows on her cheeks. When she finally meets his eyes again, there's something new in them, a quiet surrender mixed with fear. Outside, the light fades completely, and the reflection of the two of them appears faintly in the cafe window, a young man and a woman caught between choice and feeling. Neither lets go first. For that one perfect, impossible moment, it feels like the world has paused for them alone, like everything unspoken between them has found a way to exist without needing words. And even though they both know reality will return soon, right now, neither of them wants it to. The next few days unfold in silence. Not the cold kind, but the kind that carries 1,000 unsent messages, 1,000 half-formed thoughts. He walks through his days distracted, his mind replaying the way her hand had rested under his, the warmth that lingered long after. Every time his phone buzzes, a quiet hope flickers inside him. Maybe it's her. But it never is. When they finally meet again, it's unplanned. The evening light spills over the street, painting everything in soft gold. She's standing outside the same cafe, arms crossed gently, eyes hidden behind dark glasses. But when she sees him, she removes them, and that small gesture feels heavier than it should. "You disappeared," she says with a small, almost teasing smile, but her tone carries an edge of hurt beneath the surface. "So did you," he replies quietly. There's a pause, the kind that feels like standing on a thin line between what is safe and what is true. She sighs, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, and for the first time, he notices how tired she looks. Not physically, but emotionally, like she's been holding something too heavy for too long. They sit at the same table as always. The cafe feels different this time, quieter, more intimate. The air between them is charged, but not with the same light warmth as before. It's denser now, filled with all the things neither of them has dared to say out loud. She speaks first. "You're young. You don't understand how these things complicate lives." He doesn't interrupt. He just listens, eyes steady on her face. The way her jaw tightens when she says complicate, the faint tremor in her voice when she tries to sound firm. When she finally meets his gaze again, her eyes glisten. "You make me forget things I shouldn't forget," she says softly. "Like where I am in life. Well, I'm supposed to be." He leans forward, voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe forgetting isn't always wrong." She lets out a soft, broken laugh, not mocking, but full of ache. "You think love is about what feels right. But when you've lived long enough, you learn it's also about what you can allow yourself to want." Her words sting, but not because they're cruel. They're honest. For a while, they sit in silence again, the sound of clinking cups and soft jazz filling the gaps. Outside, the sky begins to dim, streaks of orange fading into violet. He looks at her, memorizing every small detail, the curve of her lips, the faint scar near her wrist, the sadness she tries so hard to hide. When she stands to leave, she hesitates, just for a second. Her fingers brush the back of his hand, so lightly it could be mistaken for accident. But it isn't. It's deliberate. A promise. A goodbye. Maybe both. As she walks away, he watches her silhouette dissolve into the soft evening light. He feels the weight of her absence instantly, like the space beside him has turned into something tangible, something heavy. And in that quiet, empty cafe, he finally understands. Sometimes the loudest confessions are the ones we never say. Days pass, then weeks, yet her absence lingers like perfume in the air, faint but unforgettable. He tells himself to move on, to stop glancing at the cafe every time he walks by, but something inside refuses to let go. There's no closure, no clear ending, just that last touch, that look in her eyes that said everything and nothing all at once. Then one evening, as the world outside hums with quiet life, he finds himself back there. Not because he expects her, but because that place still feels more honest than anywhere else. The light is warm, the air filled with the smell of roasted coffee and rain on the pavement. He chooses their old table, the one by the window, the one where time once stood still. He sits there, tracing the rim of his cup, when he hears it, that soft, familiar laugh. It's faint, almost uncertain. But when he turns, she's there, standing by the doorway, in a cream blouse and a simple necklace he remembers. Her hair tied back loosely, sunlight catching the streaks of gray she never tried to hide. Their eyes meet. For a heartbeat, neither of them moves. It's as if the world around them fades. The chatter, the clinking cups, the music. Just two people frozen in a memory that refuses to die. She walks over slowly, each step careful, deliberate. "You still come here," she says, smiling faintly, though her eyes shimmer with something deeper. "Maybe I was waiting," he admits quietly. Her breath catches. It's such a simple answer, but it lands between them with the weight of everything unsaid. She sits, folding her hands on the table, the same way she used to when words felt too heavy to start. They talk again. Not like before, not in endless circles or hesitant half-truths, but softly, honestly. She tells him she tried to forget, that she even avoided the cafe for weeks. "But I miss the quiet," she says. "And somehow, the quiet always had your voice in it." He smiles, a small, fragile thing. Maybe the quiet was waiting too. For the first time, she doesn't look away. Her eyes hold his, steady and unguarded. There's no fear there anymore, no hesitation, only understanding. And then, gently, she reaches across the table, her fingers brushing his. This time, he doesn't hesitate. Their hands meet, not rushed, not trembling, just right. The world outside glows with the last light of day. Golden, peaceful, forgiving. "I don't know what this is," she whispers, "or where it could go. Maybe we don't need to know," he replies softly. "Maybe it's enough that we found each other." Her thumb grazes his knuckles, tender, familiar. That one touch carries every memory, every pause, every unsaid word between them. When she smiles, it's not the hesitant smile from before. It's open, free, like she's finally stopped fighting herself. And in that quiet, as the cafe hums gently around them, he realizes something simple but powerful. Sometimes love isn't about certainty or promises. It's about moments that choose you when you least expect them. He looks at her, and she meets his gaze with that same unshakable softness, the same look that started it all. The look that said, "You were the answer," even when I didn't know the question.